Okay, in today's video, I want to have a little bit of a debate, and we're going to focus on pocket notebooks in particular. And you can see I'm obviously a fan of field notes. There's a whole bunch of reasons for that, but just kind of the creativity that comes. Also in this video, I'm gonna maybe debunk a couple of myths about field notes and sort of the quality of the paper. I use fountain pens. And then if you stay till the end, I'm actually gonna show you kind of a cool new pen that I've got that I'm gonna be testing out. And so I'll open that. And if you're taking a look right now at my desk, you could probably see a hint as to what that reveal might be. But anyway, let me take you through kind of the core debate. And that's around, do you just sort of have a pocket notebook and take the messy style, go any direction that it leads you, or do you add some structure to it, sort of like a bullet journal or those sorts of things? I'm actually one that thinks maybe a blend of the two is useful. So if I were to just pop open my field notes that I'm using, you could see that I actually tend to go with a bit of a messy structure, meaning that I'm not, there's no index page here. There's no sort of bullet journal approach. I'm literally using the pocket notebook as ideas come to me or as I'm working on a particular project. And you can see several examples. There is a bit of structure to this. We'll talk about this page in a second. This was actually, you can see, I was ideating sort of this particular video here, and then I had some thoughts here. But one thing before I get into that I want to note is you can see that I only use one part of the page, right? If I have something that continues sort of longer than one page, I'll continue on the back and move forward, but generally I only have one concept per page because, and this book right here is really good for this. It allows me to tear it out, but regardless of whether or not it's perforated or not, this particular edition of Field Notes is the vintage, and I really love this for two reasons. Well, actually, Field Notes in general gives me this top bar here, which you can see, that's how I capture the concept, but this one also gives perforation, and I like to process these pages, and so that's a really big part of my whole sort of setup and system is to not only create these, but I want to process the notebooks into a digital form. So I'll move these into Notion, and I have a note or a video that will show you that as well. So you can see generally I prefer a messy style. And the reason for that is if I have this in my pocket or in this particular case, my Lockbee pocket journal, big fan obviously of Lockbee. I use a 3-journal system. Again, a video on that if you want to take a look at kind of what that full system is. But the kind of approach that I like is just to have it, and then as soon as I have something that comes into my brain, I dump it here for a lot of reasons. One, gets it out of my head, don't think about it, reduces anxiety around like the things I have to do. And really a lot of that anxiety comes from like, will I forget it? Am I gonna get it done? All those sorts of things. So to have a place, and this is kind of, there's all kinds of influences you could see in my system, getting things done, GTD, is just having a place to dump that immediately. So my field notes work that way, and that's why I like to keep it messy, because I don't have to figure out, which page I need to go to or which index or those sorts of things. However, let's get into kind of the argument for structure. So there is some good solid argument for structure, and to be able to have some way to manage some of the more structured parts of your life. So the way I do like to do this, and you'll often see me do this in the front of a notebook or a particular month, is I will simply put all of the days of that month, and then typically I'll go back, and this was just an example as I was kind of thinking through this video, but then putting the actual days of the week so I could see, not just the numbers, but what the days of the week are. And then giving myself room to just make a quick note about what sort of the one thing is, or the most important thing for that day. And then the second component of that is I think having a little structure is great for habit tracking. So if there's a couple of things that I want to make sure that I'm doing every single day, perhaps it's reading or working out or anything that I'm working on building a habit for, this isn't as much, at least for me, as much about tracking what I'm doing, but it gives me a system by which if I want to start building a habit, then I will use a habit tracker like this to kind of use that Seinfeld method of continuing to make sure that I have kind of an unbroken chain of doing that habit. And then over time, again, James Clear, again, this is the beauty of all of this, is all these influences that shape your system. He does a lot of research that shows if you can reinforce those habits for, a period of time, a couple weeks, a month, a couple months, then it will become a persistent, sustainable habit, and it becomes a part of who you are. So that's a technique and one of the reasons that I might add some structure to my pocket notebook, and I do that. And then the other thing is just sort of, weekly planning. So one of the things I'm thinking about doing is getting the Field Notes 56-week planner, because I do like the concept of being able to plan at least specifically my week, my month, and my quarter, and a structured approach like that, having just a notebook that I'm just using for planning. Again, pocket notebook is always going to be the best solution for actually getting things down and making sure that you're always capturing and then ultimately processing. But having a structured notebook that you go to, just to plan, like the 56 planner. So I like certain notebooks that have a dedicated purpose, and this is why I liked this particular quarterly edition, because Field Notes produced some notebooks that actually have some structure. So this is the one that gave me the idea to potentially get their larger 56-week planner, because you can see that it does give me a way to really plan a specific project or task that I want to get done. This doesn't have quite enough room for me to kind of like do multiple projects or to truly do 56 weeks of plan. A lot of people, it will, but I like to look forward, substantially into the future. That's why I'm gonna probably get the larger one. Again, this is the beauty of the subscription, right? It introduced this concept to me that I'm now gonna pick up and make a part of my system. And so that was an excellent way to kind of become aware of that. So I like the subscription because, again, they're full of creativity and ideas and those sorts of things. But the other thing that's nice in here is the logbook itself. And so again, this is where structure can be really helpful. So this logbook, kind of set this up to be a little bit of a commonplace book. Now for commonplace book, I've actually, I'll always default back to sort of this style, because this is essentially a commonplace notebook. I have a concept and then I flush out and do some research and build out that particular concept. So this is the way I continue to do commonplace. I do like the structure of these logbooks, because this structure allows you to keep any sort of structure around books that you read, maybe videos. If you're into videos, you want to kind of summarize what you learned from that video. So structure can really help. And I like to have, this is what's kind of nice about pocket notebooks and field notebooks. You can try out some of this structure without having to build and draw a bunch of things and see if you like it. And then you can reinforce that, or you could, buy more, or you could just make up your own structure. So again, just another reason to kind of think about the Field Notes subscription, because they introduce you to ideas that you can add to your system. So bottom line on this one, again, we wandered around a little bit, but I kind of like doing that on this video, give you some different ideas. The initial kind of thought or concept is, messy sort of approach to pocket journaling, or would you rather to have more of a structured approach? And I like to have a little bit of a blend, always leading with the messy approach. Reducing friction is always going to be your best weapon on creating notebooks and journals and getting the most out of them. And then the second piece of that is encouraging you to process those. Even if you use something that's a little more structured, like one of these logbooks. So I think the blend is nice. And then of course, if you want to just add a little bit of structure but not create any friction inside of that messy notebook, have a particular page where you're logging and sort of keeping these habits. Okay, so let's take a look at this little neato thing that I got. I'm not even going to try to pronounce what that is, but this is from Lectrum, and it is their gel pen. So I was excited about this because You know I'm a big fan of the Uni 1, which fits nicely in the Lockbee, but this one is a gel pen. It doesn't require a cap, which I'm a big fan of that, so either click or not. It has a little bit of a different approach to that. And we're going to open this up and see what it looks like. All right, so that's my Vosted Corgi. Big fan of that. I like the action on it. Okay, let's get this. Oh, I don't think I actually opened it. So that's going to be a little bit. Try not to bust up the box here. Okay, there we go. Wow, that is nice. Very cool. And this is how we kind of put that. It's just a little bit of a twist. And it's a gel, just a little twist top. I love that. It's substantial. It's kind of heavy. I like that. So easy and clean. A lot easier to go in and out of this because this is actually metal, or it feels like metal. Whereas this, the kind of the plastic always catches a little bit. So yeah, I love that. So let's take a look at it writing. It's got a little protective thing on there. I'm actually going to try to write out the name of this, I think. So you can, if you search for wow, I love that. The writing is great. It's gel. So if you look at that and then you do gel pen, I'll have a link for this, obviously. And I think the way this is spelled is Dre Griffel. Somebody will correct me here. But man, I do love that. Super smooth. It's got the gel action. It feels heavy. It's substantial. Wow. Love this. So it's gel. And I like the weight. And it's super thin, but at the same time, doesn't feel like you're like trying. I've got a decent sized hand. I'm not feeling like I'm grasping it. So anyway, that was our little sort of end of the video surprise there. We'll probably do some more work on that in the future and do maybe a dedicated review of that. And here's the last thing I'm going to do about Field Notes, because Field Notes gets a lot of grief about not being sort of fountain pen friendly. So I'm gonna take a couple of fountain pens here. This was a gift, man. I love this one. Look at that, buttery smooth, and man, that purple is so fun. I love purple. But let's look at this. I mean, this is on my subscription. This is just your run-of-the-mill sort of memo version, and there is no problem with fountain pens. So like this notion of Field Notes not being fountain pen friendly is kind of silly. I use a fountain pen in it all the time. I love fountain pens. So I hope you enjoyed this video talking about messy versus structure and how you use a pocket notebook. Went a little bit longer than I expected. We drifted around a little bit, but hopefully you find a lot of this helpful. Down in the description, there are links to everything that I showed you here. Of course, if you buy anything through those links, we get funding to do and buy some other things that we can kind of take a look at and share with you on this channel. So I appreciate all of you, and like and subscribe, and I'll hope to see you on the next one.